Good morning, Ralph. How are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you this morning?
We're really winging it today because, at this particular time, I know most of you know that Jim, one of our board members, passed on. And it really hit home. And this is what Ralph and I are going to talk about is, how when something serious or something happens to you, it's really a wake-up call,
Yeah.
that life is short and life is a gift. Life is a gift. And we want to extend our heartfelt condolences to Jim and his family. And, the photos that have been streaming on Facebook have really been touching, especially the one where he's holding his daughter, Josephine, Jennifer, his wife. And Jennifer, we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine. You guys have been through a really tough time with Jim and his severe back injury, his spinal cord injury, and to God, we can't even share with you how we're feeling. But this show is in honor of Jim, because we want to talk about how life is and how grateful we are. And Jim, a little bit of story, a little bit of back history. We met Jim through Evan Ginsberg, who was doing his show at that particular time. Evan and I used to do the show at Madhouse, but Madhouse TV had transitioned out of that. And we were looking for it, and we were looking for a telethon to do our telethon. And Jim just like, okay, let's go. Like there was no hesitation in helping us. But the gift is that he went through all that with severe back injury. He sat there for, I think it was 6 hours the first time, in such pain. And
Oh my
he
gosh.
did things through the love of educating people, and of being there for people, and of sharing, and he did every single thing with a smile on his face. So we just can't even imagine. And the love he had for his family. I can't even tell you the way that he spoke about his daughter and his wife, first, and his daughter, and he actually, this was his second marriage. He had children from his
Oh,
first
okay.
marriage.
And how old was his daughter?
His daughter, she's got to be maybe 10 right now. So he's got two age brackets. He's got, children that have a child now, that he's a grandfather. And he's got a daughter that I think he had two children from the first marriage. And the second marriage with Jennifer, he had Josephine. So I just want to share with everybody that this show is in honor of Jim. And Jim, we'll miss you, but we know that you will be with us. You will definitely be guiding us. So Ralph, I really thought it was important for us, you and I, because we've suffered, in our lives, and not suffered. I want to rephrase that. We were brought
We
to
had traumatic events.
traumatic events that really changed our thought patterns on life, and really, changed how we look at life, and really was a wake up call.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I've ever told you the story. Back in 2001, I was having some difficulties, um, having out of body experiences, I'll say.
wow,
And one day I was at work all day working on a roof, and I had moments where I had out of body experiences, didn't feel well at all. And my wife and I were in a bowling league, so we went bowling that night, and I said, I'm not bowling, I don't feel well enough. And after bowling, she pulled out of the driveway because I didn't feel like driving either. And she said, are we going home or to the hospital? I said, we're going to the hospital.
wow.
And that's the night I saw the light in the tunnel for the first time.
Wow.
Um, I had
So this
ventricular
was
tach
prior to your stroke?
prior to my stroke. This was 2001.
Huh.
So, like you're saying, those traumatic events change your life. That year, I had 9 emergency room visits,
Wow.
3 helicopter flights back down to Tucson University of Arizona Medical Center, and
Wow.
3 catheter ablations to fix my VTAC.
So
So
what's a
that's
VTAC? What's a VTAC?
ventricular tachycardia. Everything goes so fast. My
Okay,
heart
so
rate got
that's
up to
what.
like 220 over 180 or something. I mean,
Wow.
I saw the light in the tunnel 3 times that year, and like you said, it changes your life. I mean, I appreciated life a lot better. Linda and I went in the outdoors. We started to travel for the country for 6 years. I appreciated so much more. And unfortunately, before the stroke, I got complacent again about what I love to do. And then the stroke gave me a new life again. So it was like,
Yeah.
I've got 2 strikes now. I'm done.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
more strikes.
I always say, I always say, okay, God, like I know I'm not doing something you want me to do. What do you want me to do? Because I want to stay here for a while. Like share with me what I'm doing wrong, like because we don't want to have that third strike.
No, we don't. No, we don't. But
So talk to
it's
me.
like you said, those traumatic events can change you, and they can change you to the better, or you can wind up being a woe is me type person instead of a warrior and fighting through it.
Ralph, now I don't know the timeline. Was your wife, your wife passed on, am I correct?
Yeah, she passed on in 2019
So that was before your stroke or after your stroke?
after my stroke.
After your stroke.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
gosh, I can't even imagine how she must have felt, watching someone, her husband, all these challenges that she loved. Did you talk to your wife about seeing the light?
oh yeah, oh yeah. She knew about my feelings because actually in '96 she had her first heart attack. So
Wow.
she saw it too, So I mean, we've both been through it. So that's what made the travel so much spectacular for us. She
Mhm.
always said that was the best time of her life. I mean,
So
traveling around the country for 6 years, it was awesome.
yeah, yeah, that's a beautiful thing to know, to look at the world through different pair of eyes and to know, like sometimes I really push myself when I go outside to look at the trees and to look up because sometimes we don't even look up, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm so busy that it's like I just keep going and going and going, but I've actually at this point in my life, and this is why this unconditional love concert is so important to me because I really wanted to take a breath between each song. I was watching the Kelly Clarkson show yesterday, and she actually did what I do, I'm getting out of it. But I'll show what it is. Like when I get on the stage to perform, it's like you sing, you sing, you sing, you sing, you sing, you sing, you sing. But this time is going to be different. This time is going to be about me singing and sharing a little bit about my story and then going back into another song and really correlating the songs that have gotten me through my life. Music has really been an important
yeah.
factor in my life, you know,
You know,
and
it's 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 amazing to me the amount of people that I've met that traumatic experiences seem to cause a great majority of people to become more advocates for whatever's happened to them. So, in other words, us having a stroke, we've become big advocates. We
yeah,
want to try and help people as much as we can. I've had people with that I know with cancer or other things that it's just, I don't know if it's a trigger because of the illness or whatever that causes everybody to become this advocate monster.
yeah, yeah. But you have to be grateful,
Oh
and
yeah,
with that gratitude, I always say, the second chance at life, I have to be the voice. We need to be the voice for those that can't, because some people that suffer strokes, they can't speak anymore. My mother was one of them. My mother, she suffered a stroke when in Mexico. She lived in New York City for many years. Her husband passed, and then she decided to move to Mexico where they had bought a house, where, because this was financially the best move for them because New York City was very expensive. She used to have a home, an apartment in the aspiring actress and actors building and musician building right on 42nd Street. So for many years, I used to go to her building, and that's where I parked. And that was the furthest I park in the city. Anyway, so she moved to Mexico and she went after he passed, she moved permanently. and she suffered a major stroke, and she could not speak. She could not speak. So, it's very, but, we had our challenges in our life, like I shared in one of the videos that we're streaming now, that we had our relationship challenges, and from what I'm learning, a lot had to do with her brain injury and aneurysm that she had at a young age. She had this fear, unknown fear, like this guard up for people, which is hard, and I'm trying to break down my guards, my fears. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but they're um, shoveling outside because it snowed here in New Jersey yesterday.
Ah,
So,
okay.
so I'm at home. Anyway, so yeah, so she had this fear. I could feel it now that I understand it a little bit better. But when she was in Mexico one time, this student of hers, because she was a vocal teacher as well. She was she mastered at Juilliard. She was an opera singer. She traveled around the world. She sang around the world. She was very prestigious. And this vocal student of hers in Mexico really took care of her, became her caregiver. And they called me one time, and I just remember, she said, I want to come home. Little did I know that she wanted to go home to heaven. She didn't want to come home to New Jersey. And I said, whatever you want me to do, let's start planning. And she just looked at him like, see, I told you, whatever we needed to do, that's what Renee was going to do. Like, whatever we needed to do. So it was a good moment in time for me because of our challenges we've had in our life as we've been navigating through life. But life is difficult, right, Ralph? Life is not
Yeah.
easy.
I mean, it's difficult for quote unquote normal people. I mean, there's so many things thrown in our way, but I think most of us that have gone through trauma, some kind of trauma, have understood that, there's a better way. There's communication is the key to making things better. Communicating with doctors, communicating with other survivors, communicating with other, friends, family. Family can be, I mean, for us, how hard is it for family to go through, their dad, their husband, their wife going through a stroke? I'm going to help. I'm going to help. Let me do it for you. Let me do. No, I want to do it.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to learn communication skills, and I think
yeah,
that's important in life too. The more you talk to people and reason and those kind of things, the better off normal life is going to be as well.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's become a real major part of my stroke recovery is talking and asking the dumb questions. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, because they're really not dumb. They're people questions, right? They're questions that people have, but they don't really want to ask because they don't want to hurt us. They don't want to hurt us. I mean, that's a balance that we always try to navigate around. We spoke about on the show a lot is caregivers, your family, your wife, your friends, whoever is taking care of you, they do want to do things for you, but yet they have to know that balance to push you a little bit out of out of the place you're in, because otherwise you won't grow. It is like children, right? Children, you have to
yes,
know balance. As long as they're not going to get hurt in what they're trying, you really need to let them try and let them fall, because they won't grow as they through the days. So it really is the same philosophy in life with anybody, with anything and anybody, to really let them grow and to try. I remember I think they're on your I'm horrible with names, Ralph, so pardon me, but I remember there's a couple on your pot, your
Stroke Warrior Radio. Yeah,
or radio, that comes from California. And I'll never forget, like, he used to sit there and let her try to talk. She had aphasia. And it wasn't until he would turn to her and ask her, Like, do you want me to help you? Like, he wouldn't interrupt her because that forced her brain to think. And a lot of the things that I've learned in my life, which I try to utilize when I'm talking to somebody that has aphasia, is to actually acknowledge that we have time. There's no pressure. Relax, because the nervousness and the anxiety prevents us from being able to talk a little bit, right?
Yes.
Did you suffer from aphasia, Ralph?
No, I didn't. I'm very, knowing the people I know with aphasia now, I'm very lucky. That's a terrible part of stroke that I'm very happy I didn't go through. And you're right. There's a big learning curve for care partners and stroke warriors on how to deal with that and talk with each other. And I know I've had aphasia uh, people on interviews that on Stroke Warrior Radio that have aphasia, and it's like they were so nervous, and afterwards they're like, "That was so easy." I said,
Yeah.
"I told you, we have time.
Yeah.
If we have to do another interview, we'll do another interview. Don't worry about it. Just talk as best you can, and we'll ask and answer the questions." And they're like, "Well, okay, let's do it again."
I know I had this, I'll never forget. And once again, I'm drawing a blank at his name, but my first fundraiser before I was an organization, before I was an official organization, I had a fundraiser at the Grand Chalet in Wayne, New Jersey. It's now the Cosmopolitan. Great people there. Eileen and Scott are dear friends. And I had asked someone from the Maywood Adler's Aphasia Center to speak there. Let me just, and he was so comical. He really brought a comedy to the show because he got up and he read the bio and he read the timeline, and then he said, yes, and I figured I'd prepare for that. And he brought out a harmonica and he played the harmonica because he couldn't talk. So he was very funny in the fact that he found another way to bring humor to really communicate with everybody. He thought, since I can't speak very well, I'll use my harmonica skills, especially after the timeline, where everybody else could speak. So he was really good, and he brought a lot of humor to the show. It was good. Who have you had on your show recently, Ralph?
Oh, recently I've had some medical people on. I had a gentleman on talking about AI and the future of AI and medical treatments, especially for stroke.
Wow.
There's new things out, like Vivistem is a stimulation program that does electrical stimulation for the vagal nerve. Is that right? The right phrase?
I have no medical knowledge at all.
We've talked to him. He's going to be, they're actually expanding up here to Bend, Oregon, and they're going to actually be doing the surgeries and everything up here.
Wow.
So that's a new technology company. I spoke to a bunch of new physical therapists and occupational therapists. A lovely lady, Grace James from England, about mental health. She was awesome. So, I mean, we've got some really good shows coming on about mental health, physical therapy, occupational therapy, acupuncture, where we're trying to communicate with all the different types of treatments and alternative treatments that are available out there.
Yeah.
So we've had some pretty cool guests.
I have two
questions
on that. First of all, did you suffer from any depression after your stroke?
Oh, yeah.
Because I did unknowingly. I didn't know. Like, my sister saw it in me. She said, "You have to go for therapy. You got to go for therapy." I'm like, "Why do I have to go for therapy?" Like, but she, like, the outside looking in, she acknowledged and shared that. And the reason I went was because she found a location, Light the Way Counseling, and it was in Horton at that particular time. And the only reason I went was because they were prayers. So she said, just go and pray with these people. And that's how we began. That's how we ended. And that really got me into the therapy, the counseling. because I still to this day go to Cindy Piccinini. She's the owner of this counseling, and I really go every year just for a refresh, just to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do and I'm where I need to be and all that kind of stuff. Because you gotta stay in tune. You gotta stay in tune with it. So tell me a little bit about
my mental health carried me to a real dark place twice. I mean, I've said it before on my radio shows. I've sat in front of a bottle of Jack Daniels and my pain pills, and if it wasn't for my grandchildren on the wall, and I found counseling. It's a traumatic event. You need counseling. You're changing your life. You're changing your attitudes. You're changing how you do things. You're changing, and a lot of it is very frustrating changes. So you really need to talk to some mental health professionals about it. Unfortunately, I've gotten so busy. I know I still need it. And unfortunately, I've just gotten so busy I don't do it. But doing the interviews kind of helps me,
Yeah, it does. It because I learn from everybody.
Oh yeah.
And it triggers things in my brain that, oh, really? Like, it makes me aware of where I am and what I need to do to stay on course in my life. And, even like I said before, going outside and just, looking up and looking at the
Yeah.
tree and thanking God for the second day, because whether it's a stroke or whether it's something else, life is a gift. And we sometimes, most of the time, I will say that we forget to acknowledge that and we forget to enjoy it. That's when my grandchildren call me or my children call me, like everything else could stop. I don't care
Yes.
where I am. I don't care what I'm doing. Like, I stop and I listen to them and I hear them, what they need, because it's really important.
Yeah.
You-
We get so busy with our lives, and we get busy with our lives as normal people or as survivors. And if we don't stop and talk to our family, like I said before, it's communication.
Yeah.
We really, that's for me, I have 11 grandchildren, and I don't know if I shared the news.
Wow.
I don't know if I shared the news with you, but my first great grandchild was born a couple months ago. Yeah, and
That's
my second granddaughter is pregnant with a grandson that'll be born, I think, in November or something. So,
wow. That's a
and
gift.
that's my life. I mean, those are the kind of things that you have to really appreciate,
That
and
is,
it makes your recovery better, you
you know
know.
what? It does. It makes your recovery better. I'm just making sure we're public, because sometimes the show, let me just make sure, is
Okay.
not live public. Yep, we're public. Okay. So yeah, so that's whoop. Yeah, so sometimes, but there is one other thing I was thinking before was, one of the people that we want to have on our show is horse therapy. Did you know that?
Yes.
I think
I,
I think, and I really want to go. I'm going to go with this woman, Samantha Long, who's going to bring me to. She's a wonderful yoga instructor, and she does health and wellness in Fair Lawn area. And she was been on a show a few times. She's going to bring me to a horse therapy center. I think that's like speaking from my heart. That's what I really want to do, because animals are so wise and so and horses, like the natural ability that they have to bring calmness to you. And I think that that's a big part of our healing process, is to peel back the onions, right? And
yeah.
to the core, and to get rid of that fear, and to just trust that things will process the way they're supposed to, which I had a long journey with that, trying to understand that.
Yeah. It's funny that we can learn from horses, because I've broadcast a couple of shows about horse therapy, Plus, there's one here in Bend that supports Stroke Awareness Oregon. So I think we can learn from horses because they have a natural empathy for, and they can feel their riders' stress, anxiety, relaxation, whatever. They can feel that.
Right,
So I
right.
think that's something as survivors that I've had to learn for myself, is to have empathy for myself as well. You know, that makes a big difference in
Yeah, so
everything, you
that's
know.
key though, right? That's you just brought something to my thought patterns that I continue to have to work on. I've realized it is, the empathy you're showing for other people, you also have it to have it for yourself, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
I've always been harder on myself than anybody ever has been. And I need to have empathy for myself, especially, I'm 62, Ralph. I just turned 62. And I'm so blessed and really gifted to have suffered my stroke at age 26, to really have gone through everything I've gone through to this point. But now this is the honest to God truth. I feel like, okay, let me take a deep breath. Let me take a deep breath and let me understand and let me experience and let me fully engage in everything. Because I've been, I was a single mom trying to struggle to survive, with two children. I um i i claimed bankruptcy. I suffered a stroke. All these really hard things, that I've had to experience in my life, and I'm still here. And I think
yeah.
that's the gift to everybody, is this too shall pass. This too will move on. And you have to trust that your journey. But you know what? If we have our health, everything else will survive. You will survive.
Well, and a lot of people have a hard time recognizing those little victories every day. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
because when we have the stroke, there is a woe is me factor to it. And if you don't allow yourself to get out of that, you don't recognize the fact that, hey, you know what? Today I didn't have to write down my password 2 or 3 times
right, right,
to
right.
be able to type it without looking at it. Or I didn't today. I remembered the authentication number they sent on my text without having to hold it up in front of the computer while I put in the authentication number.
Mhm.
It's those little teeny things
Yeah,
that
yeah,
all of a sudden add up. Now I'm back to my numbers. I'm
yeah,
back to relearning computer and learning a lot more stuff, especially with the radio that I've
yeah,
had to learn. People have to, and I shouldn't say have to. I don't like shooting on people, but
yeah.
you know, there's a factor of recognizing the small victories,
Yes,
and they
yes,
become
yes.
large victories.
But the problem, I think, not the problem. Let me rephrase that. The issue, what's another word for problem? I'm going to use the word problem.
Challenge.
The challenge with that is, especially when you're by yourself, right? And I know you're by yourself, is for somebody to acknowledge those small things, because we just keep going and going and going and going and going. And partly because of our strokes, that we have this fear that life is going to get away from us. And it was you that taught me that word that is prominent in my life, is urgency, right? The urge.
Actually, you taught me. I said fear. You said urgency.
And that, no, but it was somebody else that brought it to me on my show. And I
Yeah,
stopped and I said, oh my God. I said, that's so true. I said that urgency, like, I have an urgency to do everything because I'm not sure if the next minute's going to be here. So that's
exactly.
where my urgency comes from. But on the flip side, I have learned that yes, you have to urgency, but it's got to be within a balance, because you have to trust that it doesn't matter. You don't know when your time is up. Someone who is as healthy as can be could could pass on in their sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know, and even though we have the challenges of suffering a stroke and a stroke of luck in my life, because it was a stroke of luck, it brought me a lot of awareness, was, like, you have to balance, that. You have to have urgency. But another thing that I just told a dear friend of mine as well is the one of the reasons that I have found that you need to stop and give space within your life is because all those things that you're putting out in your life, they have to come back to you. And you're not giving them space to come back to you into your life. So it is important, or not even come back to you, but to flourish in what we're doing, because you have to give them the space to do them. So it is a balance that I'm trying to learn and understand, and give myself the grace to allow myself to be giving myself permission to enjoy it, not to be so urgent about doing it, but to enjoy the moments, to enjoy my life, to enjoy the flourish. That's why I keep going back to this concert is really important, because it is. I've been talking for years about doing it. I'll never forget, Ralph. Wayne Dyer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll never forget this. He was speaking at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City. Thousands of people there. And this must have been 1980. Wait, my stroke happened in 1988. So 89. So maybe 1990, something like that. So I get inspired to go. Now, I just told you I do not like New York City to drive in by myself, But for some reason, God put in my heart to go. I bought a ticket by myself, Ralph. I bought a ticket to go into the city by myself. I parked in my mother's building because I wasn't driving. I walked to Jacob Javits. I think the Jacob Javits on 34th and my mother's on 42nd. So I walked there. I walk in and I sit in the first seat. There was no reserved seating. Sat around the first seat. God was with me, and then he, for some reason, halfway through it, he goes, "Okay, I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to meet everybody." There's thousands of people there, thousands of people. So I go and I speak to him. I was first online, the first one online. And I said, Wayne, Dr. Wayne, I says, I want you to come to my cabaret act. That's what I called it back then. And he just looked at me and says, well, you do it and I'll come. You let me know. Like without even hesitation about this girl's crazy. She said, but just the fact that he was keeping my dreams alive. And really, this is the moment that after all these years, Dr. Wayne will be there, in spirit, but so will Jim. But, it's never too late to live your dreams and to really take the opportunity, seize the moments, seize the moments.
Yeah, I've always, people look at me silly when I say this, but I always feel like a toddler on a higher level.
Yeah.
With
permission to do things.
Yeah, I've got this anxiousness to learn stuff and try stuff and try and falter and that kind of stuff. But in my head, the higher level is, think about this. So is this the way I want to do it, or is there a better way to do it? Is there a simpler way to do it? Is there a harder way to do it? You have to learn those thought processes, which can be difficult with aphasia and those kind of things. But like I said, those little teeny things add up to big things. So, and that's how I took 7 years to be able to get off the cane and walker and all that stuff. My arm works, both arms work. I can talk like an Italian again. So it's just a funny thought process that I go through. That I'm a little toddler that asks more questions than they're able to.
Yeah. Well, we gotta have the dreams. You gotta keep the dreams alive no matter what age you're at, because you gotta be inspired. You have to. My
Yeah,
life has been in a couple different phases. I think up until 40, it was about softball. Between 40 and 60, it was about my music. And now after 60, it's about leaving a legacy, for to make my mark, you know,
that's
in life.
funny.
You, you
That's,
know, why is it funny? Because you think the same
okay,
way?
that's exactly what the whole radio thing, the whole Stroke Warrior Radio, is my legacy. That's why I did it. I wanted
Yeah.
to leave a legacy of helping other survivors get through their strokes or
And you've been
TBI.
you've been so a gift with that, Ralph, because it was like you invited us. Our words are streaming around the world. I mean, what a better way to make your mark, on the world, is to bring education to people, to bring communications to people. I'll never forget when I was in Wanacue Reserve, this woman, Gloria, she was an angel for me there. When you're in working or wherever you are in life, you're supposed to be there to learn from other people, to get the message out, to give and to take. And this woman came by me, and the world stopped because nothing was happening around us. Like everything was happening around us, but like the world just stopped. And she looked at me and she said, Renee, she goes, they're telling me that your music is important, but it's going to be your words that make your difference. I'm like, God, I don't talk so much, at that particular time. I didn't have my show. And here, look, we're doing a podcast every month, and we make a difference. So it is important to listen to people. Can you hear me, Ralph? Because I think you may have frozen. Uh, I think you froze. Ah. So while Ralph is trying to fix his internet service, um, I just really we're gonna oh, he's gonna come back on. I'm gonna go back to my friend Jim, and really the value that he lended, and he made a mark on the world with his smile, with his grace, with his energy, with his personality, with his just he was a gift. He was a gift to the world. And once again, we want to extend our heartfelt condolences to Jennifer, his all his children from his first marriage, and Sophia, Josephine, sorry. Uh, he has to log on again. Anyway, so thank you so much. I guess if you're listening to the world, right, the moments around it, really this opportunity for me to be present on the screen by myself, to really honor Jim once again, and to close out in saying that we're going to miss you, Jim, but I know you're going to be with us, and I know you're going to be guiding me and guiding us, and you could do more wonderful things from the other side. And I see you smiling down on us, and we pray that we keep your family, Jennifer and Josephine, and your children and your grandchildren in our prayers every day, that they could heal and they could be guided. Maybe that you're not in any pain anymore. That's the gift. That's the gift. So I'm gonna end the show on that note, and we blow kisses, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, sentir, no me puedes oír, no me puedes